Mhm.
as I'll talk about here in a sec.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's been so fascinating to look at this and try to put the pieces together.
Yeah, so I think first leadership side on Secret Service. So the Secret Service director, she came out and when asked, "Are you going to change any plans for the RNC?" She goes, "No, our plan is solid," and I believe that. I
Mhm.
believe the plan for this was solid because they've done this. They got a lot of reps in planning. What I think the leadership failure was is once a leader puts a plan in place, there's a thing called follow up.
Mhm.
Do you follow up with all the moving parts to see if they understand, completely understand, and have rehearsed their roles? And I think there's the key right there. What you saw happen when the former president was shot was you saw an immediate response by the inner perimeter, his personal protection detail jumping on him.
Mhm.
Those are individuals that have a lot of reps. You can tell it. Their tempo was high. They took immediate action. There was no pause.
Mhm.
Those are individuals that are highly trained, a lot of reps, a lot of rehearsals to do just that event. Even Trump himself ducking down behind the barrier. I mean, you could tell these people that tempo was automatic. It was fluid. There wasn't any issues. And I know people are busting on, one of the female agents having a hard time getting her gun away and stuff. That what it's called emotional flooding. You lose dexterity when you are in fight or flight, you lose a lot of dexterity in what you're doing. So all that was her
Sure.
just in fight or flight. So I'm not even focusing on that.
Mhm.
So you saw that tempo on the inner circle. Now, the shooter be on the outer perimeter where it wasn't Secret Service, it was local law enforcement that had that outer perimeter. So the plan for them probably was solid, like they said, but I think you have a few things in place here. One, with defund the police kind of mentalities, I don't know the staffing levels and whether they have the proper staffing levels. I don't know the training level of those people. And also, my friends that was on one of the other shows with me the other day, a retired Secret Service guy, and I've worked with Secret Service when I was in New York, and I'll talk about that in a
Mhm.
second, how these things generally work. So he said they generally have about a 10 or 15-day lead time where they're going to send out their advance team and do the ground reconnoiter and all that. And so that's around the time period they're going to notify the local law enforcement, hey, we're going to need this many personnel to do the outer perimeter. Go. So the local chief, local jurisdiction will take care of, hey, you're all going to be on this outer perimeter. You're going to be doing a protective detail. Go. Now, when you're dealing with defund police, you're dealing with the younger generation, not a lot of training because there's not a lot of money for training. And then how many reps and rehearsals did they actually do, mandated do, and followed up doing from the team leader on exactly what to look for and what to do if they heard it? Because
Mhm.
we've seen this on all the videos. You saw the inner circle, fluid, 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 good comms, fluid, fluid, fluid. Outer perimeter, chaos.
Mhm.
Chaos happens when there's no reps.
Mhm.
Chaos happens when there's no rehearsals. So that outer perimeter was in chaos because they didn't have the reps, they didn't have the training, they didn't have the rehearsals they needed to know how to respond to chaos. Because when
Yeah.
the first round goes down range anywhere, fog of war kicks in, you have to go to muscle memory and chaos ensues. And so you have to be able to work through that. And we didn't see that working efficiently at all because I think all these trickle down effects, you didn't have good follow up from Secret Service saying, checking on them that you know what exactly you're doing. And then the final piece of this, I think this 20-year-old kid did the most obvious thing in the world. He operated in plain sight.
Mhm.
That building he shot from was a staging area for the law enforcement. I heard that they couldn't cover the building adequately, so they'll just stage the cops inside. There was cops inside that building when he was crawling on top. And so what happens is when you hide in plain, your brain can't wrap around the fact. This is the first time again when you have no reps. So if you say we do a thought experiment as I like to do, say you have a bunch of cops that are doing the outer perimeter that normally they're patrol cops
Mhm.
and they pull people over in cars, they give out speeding tickets. Do they know exactly what to look for, what to see, and are they empowered to make the calls they need to make to mitigate a threat? And they did have the one cop go up on the roof. He saw somebody, got back down because the guy aimed the gun at him. And 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 why was that? Was it a fear of threat of life or fear because he really didn't know what to do?
Mhm.
Am I authorized to shoot? Am I authorized not to shoot? What am I supposed to do? When I don't know what to do, I'm going to duck.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? That's because there's no reps, there's no rehearsal. So I think that was the major gap here. So it's not necessarily I think the plan was off because I think Secret Service puts together fantastic plans. They've been doing it a very long time. I think the execution of the plan is what's starting to fail all over because of all these challenges with law enforcement, defund police, low recruitment rates, low funding for training. All these things, I think, is a factor.
It's almost like in the past, this plan would have worked because there would have been more qualified
Yes.
individuals in those positions. Today, that's just not the case. You can't keep relying on that. I mean, if you're going to make an analogy kind of outside of this, situation, it's going uh, like, oh, I'm expecting a 5 course meal, but all I we're hiring the guy who was flipping the burgers at McDonald's, and then being shocked when you're not getting the gourmet dinner out of it. These are facts though that are already known, that people, I mean, certainly I would think the Secret Service would be aware that, hey, the quality of what we're getting out here, I mean, I'm sure all those officers had the best of intent. I do not think there's anything that was anyone was wanting this to happen or try to happen or let it happen.
Right.
But you only know what you know, and you only have the training that you have. um they knew that this was an issue over out in this area, that's a very big point of weakness. Why still rely on people that are not nearly qualified to do those jobs when they're not qualified to do them, especially when we're talking about the security of a former president? Take politics out of it. I don't care if you love the guy, hate the guy, whatever. It's a former president. You can't have
Mhm.
somebody being able to shoot at him. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.